Dorian Riley. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about pretty much all things domestic violence, but I do talk about other things sometimes. So I have been going through the A to Z journey through domestic violence. For some that have not been on my channel before, it pretty much talks about my journey of domestic violence, my journey through domestic violence, and also as a domestic violence survivor. And that's something I would like to share with you all so we can build a community around this horrible, horrible thing, so we can help other people to get to the other side of that, to leave those toxic relationships. So today, the letter is O, and in my domestic violence journey, it reminds me of all the opportunities that just kind of passed me by because I was scared to say yes to some opportunities. My opinion was just not validated. It wasn't welcomed. So you all that have been in domestic violence relationships or know others that have been in domestic violence relationships, you understand that your opinion does not matter. They would rather you not say what your opinion is because they would like you to agree with them and everything. And it's like you don't have your own opinion. You're not an individual. You're not a person. I really do feel like they think that you were put on this earth, or we were put on this earth to just benefit them, and to not be an individual, to not have our own things we want to say, have our own feelings and things like that. Things like that seem to offend them, which is just absolutely insane, to even think that another human being wouldn't have their own opinion and feelings and things like that. But they would rather you not have those things. They just want you to be a shell of whoever they would like you to be. It just depends on the day or the moment or the time. They just want you to show up as whoever they would like you to be, like I said, at that moment. And it's very soul crushing. It is very depressing. Thank the Lord I am no longer in that situation, that type of relationship. And my heart just aches for the ones that I know that are still in those types of relationships. There is a way out. There is another side of that. There is relief from those type of relationships, but you have to leave it to, kind of see what I'm talking about. There's happiness and joy on the other side. There's love on the other side, because those types of relationships have no love. They have no joy. You may have, seconds or moments of happiness, then you have to try to separate if the happiness is real happiness or is it the persona that you're putting on, because we have to show the world a different face in a different part of ourselves when we're in a domestic violence relationship, because so much of our life is orchestrated by how that person feels and how they want us to behave and how they want us to portray ourselves to the world and how they want us to portray the relationship. We all know that they pretend that the relationship is just wonderful, even though we know that it's not. So we get really good at pretending that we're in a stable relationship, a normal relationship. But anything about a domestic violence relationship is definitely not normal. It's very abnormal, actually. But sometimes it's hard to see that when you're in it, because a lot of times you just don't want other people to know. I know I felt that way. I just didn't want other people to know that I was in that type of relationship. I just dreaded kind of what people would think of me, how they would see me. And sometimes you don't want people to kind of look down on you or feel bad for you or kind of see you as like a charity case, so to speak, even though that's not the case at all. Sometimes it just feels like that, and you don't really understand unless you've been in it, And I know that there's no perfect person in the world. Everybody has been in some type of situation that was less favorable. But it's really hard to know that people around you, especially the ones that you really care about, you love, for them to see you that way is really difficult. And I didn't realize how difficult it was until I was in a domestic violence relationship. And I think sometimes that's how some of them carry on for so long. People just get to the point where they are just kind of embarrassed I mean, you don't want other people to know. You don't want to be an open book to where everybody can just look in on your life and then have their opinions, because I've heard so many people say, in domestic, once that's not in domestic violence relationships, they'll give advice like, oh, the second someone put their hands on you, you just walk out that door, you just leave. Yes, I would definitely say I totally agree with that statement. However, sometimes it's not that simple. And sometimes people that have not been in a relationship like that doesn't understand, because the domestic violence doesn't always start with physical. It usually does not. Usually it starts with more emotional or verbal, So I think what happens is I don't want to say I think what happened. What I know what happened in my case is that it started off verbally, verbal abuse, like, different slights, different ways of ignoring you, making you feel like your opinion wasn't valid or your feelings wasn't valid, gaslighting you, pretending that something was your fault when it actually was their fault, and then you continue to go that way, and then what happens is you start going down this deep and dark road to where their slights and little tactics that they call jokes, they start doing those more and more, but they end up being like hurtful jokes, and even when you tell them, they'll act like you're a little bit too sensitive, you just don't understand, or you don't like to play around, you're too serious, things like that. So they try to say things to make you feel comfortable with it, even though you're not. And that's one of the red flags. If you're telling someone that something is hurting you and they keep doing it, I mean, that tells you a lot about a person. So I know I may not know your story because everyone's situation is different. It's very different. I would never say that there are any two situations, domestic violence situations, that are the same. There's no carbon copy here. I will tell you that right now. However, if you're in that type of relationship, it's not a good relationship, you need to take steps to get out of that relationship. I mean, there are a ton of resources nowadays, there just are. There were some also when I was in that type of relationship. It was more than like 20 years ago, but still, there were resources, and I just didn't know, and sometimes you're just too afraid to try to even figure it out, because you're in a constant state of fear. And sometimes when you're in a constant state of fear, it's hard to think logically, it really is, so I understand that. But I will have the number for text messaging, the domestic violence hotline. There's also a 1-800 number, so I'll also have that information throughout the video. And just people that have been in relationships like that, if you can comment and just add value to our community of domestic violence survivors, and also the people that may be in those relationships right now or know someone else has in that type of relationship, if you can please share the information that share your situation with us. And sometimes it just helps just to speak about it, Is it hurtful sometimes? Yes, it is still hurtful. Sometimes I still can go back to feeling that same way, but it's different now. So I feel the hurt in a different way. I feel more empowerment now. So I know that I will definitely not ever be in a situation like that again, because I won't allow it, God's not going to allow it, so that empowerment is free. You can actually empower yourself if you don't have anyone else that's empowering you. We would like to see you in a better position in your life. I, for one, would like to see you in a better position in your life. And God Almighty, He didn't create us to be like someone's doormat. He loves us too much for that. So never forget that. And definitely, if it's a question that you have for me, definitely you can put that in the comments. Definitely. And I will read them, and I will reach out to you. I will correspond with you. And then any type of other information you need. Maybe it's not something that I have mentioned on my channel or in any other video. If it's some information that you would like to know, just ask. And if I do not know the answer, I will try to find the answer for you. Okay? And I also have the Climbing Life's Mountains by Dorian D. Riley, and that is me. So it is a collection of poetry. It's a book that I kind of wrote just thinking about all the different things I went through in my domestic violence journey and other experiences that I know other people I went through. And then it's different types of poetry in there. Not all domestic violence things, but a lot of it is inspired by that and inspired by the Holy Spirit for sure. And I'm also working on a novel right now, so that is very exciting. So I'm hoping to get that to you guys soon. Maybe towards the beginning of next year, 2026. So that would be totally exciting. So if you know someone else that would benefit from hearing these videos, definitely send this information to them, please. And like, share, and subscribe if this is something you're interested in, or if you know someone else that's interested in them, please go ahead and forward my videos to them. All right, so until next time, I will be praying for you. I want the best for you. You are beautiful, you are wonderful, and you deserve a life much better than being in a domestic violence relationship. You don't deserve that. Thank you. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.